Awesome. All right, guys. I think we are so ready to rock and roll. Thanks for letting me sit here and chat your ear off for just a second. Just to introduce myself, my name is Marissa Culbreath. I am the community manager here at Art Bridges. I know some of you, I was formerly in the learning and engagement department, and so I've worked with many of you before. And for those who I haven't worked with before, so excited to be able to chat with you today and possibly work with you in the future. So we are so excited to connect with you all today. Again, before we get started, if you haven't already, introduce yourself and let us know where you are joining from. We love to connect, see where we're all coming from. Just to give a little bit of a background to Art Bridges, here at Art Bridges, our work centers on expanding access to American art through art sharing and community engagement. We partner with museums across the country to get art out of storage and into communities everywhere. By providing financial and strategic support, we help institutions loan and exhibit artworks more broadly, develop related programming, and reach new audiences. So, for today, we're going to explore the intersection of art and well being in museums with a special focus on our upcoming art and wellness convening, as well as our past wellness convenings. In this session, you'll discover key insights and takeaways from our two past convenings of works in progress defining the art of wellness in museums, what our museum partners have been working on since the convenings, and how their programming has evolved as a result of their participation in the convening. And we'll also talk about practical details about upcoming convenings, from application tips to selection criteria and the upcoming deadlines. So, quick housekeeping. Please share any of your questions in the chat at any time. We're going to keep up with that. We'll answer them throughout the webinar, as well as during our special Q&A time at the end. So I do to introduce our speaker for today. To guide us through this, I'm thrilled to introduce Amanda Driver, our Director of Fellows, Internships, and Wellness Initiatives here at Art Bridges. Amanda is an experienced museum educator who's worked at art and history museums, art centers, and historic sites in Boston, Little Rock, and now in Northwest Arkansas. Amanda has a passion for wellness initiatives, and beyond her work in the museum space, she is a yoga teacher specializing in restorative, slow, and gentle flows. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you, Marissa. I am so excited to be here, and thank you everyone for your patience as we were working through some of those technical difficulties, but it's so great to have everyone here and excited to talk about art and wellness.
So excited about all of these awesome opportunities. I do want to give our viewers a little bit of a background. What is our big why behind bringing together museums, working on wellness initiatives for the community?
Yeah, so really the why for why we're doing art and wellness is aligned directly with the mission of our bridges, which is that we deliver access to meaningful experiences with art for personal and community well-being. So we really believe at our bridges that museums are powerful, impactful third places and spaces that can significantly support the well-being of individuals and communities. Wellness programming really provides creative solutions to grow our audiences and to grow museum audiences and museum goers. And unfortunately, the majority of US museums have not recovered from to pre-pandemic attendance levels. And so art and wellness programming really creates these new reasons to visit and also supports individual and community health and well-being. So this first slide here shows Josie Humaras Howard, who is Community Engagement Coordinator at the El Paso Museum of Art, one of our amazing partner museums, who just recently attended our convening to share about their programs. And she posed this question, what role can a museum play in supporting the well-being of its community? And we really think that museums have a significant role to play, right, to support individuals and communities. And I think all of us who work in the arts understand. Hi, Josie, she's here. I think a lot of us who work in the arts or who are creatives or consider ourselves artists, we feel these impacts firsthand, right? We experience them. We know that looking at art or making art allows us to slow down, to pause. We find this moment of flow where we're really connecting with ourselves and with that experience. We recognize that the arts create these opportunities to connect both internally with ourselves through that pause, but also with other individuals we may be sharing the experience with. We recognize that when we're looking at art or making art, we have this opportunity to communicate and also to process our own ideas and emotions. And I think we all recognize that, who work in the arts. And now what's really exciting is there's a lot of data to support all of this. And so if we move to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about kind of the why and how we think of well-being. So we're really thinking about well-being holistically across 4 pillars, and you'll see them highlighted here: emotional, social, cognitive, and physical. And the arts have a part to play in all of these different pillars of well-being. So first, with emotional, adults who visit art museums monthly or more have shown a significant decrease in the risk of developing depression compared to those who rarely visit. And museum visits have been linked to improve mood, reduce stress, and overall boost emotional well-being. Socially, right, according to the CDC in 2024, 41% of US adults are sometimes, usually, or always lonely. And so research shows that museum visits can foster social inclusion, reduce feelings of loneliness, and even help people to feel more connected with others. Cognitively, research shows that museum experiences can leave visitors feeling mentally engaged, inspired, more open to new ideas and ways of thinking. And participation in the arts also increases cognitive reserves linked to reducing a risk of dementia. And then physically, even brief visits to a gallery have been associated with lower blood pressure and reduced cortisol, the stress hormone. And the reduction of long-term stress can then reduce inflammation in the body. And a really cool study that's recently come out shows that individuals who engage with the arts at least once a week or pretty actively have decreased biological aging. So anywhere from 9 months to maybe a year. So we see these effects and benefits of the arts on all of these pillars of well-being and health. And I also want to give a shout out to our research and evaluation team, who created an art and wellness toolkit that breaks down all of these different wellness pillars and includes recommended validated surveys and scales. And this will be linked below, and it's also available on our website if anyone wants to check those out.
Yeah, if you all want to explore that art and wellness toolkit, we just dropped it in the chat. Please take a look at that. There is some great information from our research and evaluation team. Thank you, Amanda, for breaking down those pillars. I think that's very important for us to be able to kind of see those categories and understand how these type of engagements really benefit our communities. Let's talk a little bit about our fall 2025 and our spring 2026 art and wellness convenings. As we were getting into this work, were there any kind of aha moments or anything that kind of surprised you as we were getting into this work?
Yeah, well, you can see on the screen the applicants who joined us, or the participants who joined us for the 2 art and wellness convenings that we hosted in the fall of last year, and then just recently, like within the last month. So from all over. One of the biggest aha moments, honestly, that we had was just the number of applications that we received for our first ever art and wellness focused convening. So we launched applications about a year ago, and we had initially 5 spots. And we received 197 applications for those 5 spots. So I think that was just like an aha moment of the work that museums are doing in this space, a testament to museums really working, thinking about the health and well-being of individuals and their community, and already like doing that work in very important and impactful ways. And so, since we had so many amazing applications, we decided to pull from those applicants for our spring convening, and then hosted 5 additional museums here just about a month ago. So that was kind of one of the biggest takeaways from the convening. But the cross-departmental teams from those museums who joined us, that was another key takeaway. I think that just this opportunity for teams from across the museum to attend the convening together. I've worked in museums, and I, have experienced that often, even in museums that might be smaller to larger, we're working so quickly. We have a lot on our plate, and we may not be always working across departments. And so, not always having those times to have those conversations to develop projects. And really, when we're breaking down those silos and working collaboratively, that's when we can come up with these really amazing projects that are going to impact people in really impactful ways. So, I think that was another one of the aha takeaway moments. And then another big takeaway, too, from the museums that I heard was that this was an opportunity to really slow down themselves because we did offer a lot of opportunities to workshop ideas in the group. And That was another kind of aha, is just taking that time throughout your day to build in wellness and breaks and pauses so that we can really develop important and impactful programs.
That's awesome. I think it's so great that we had such a a vast amount of organizations that wanted to take part in this work. I know for me, being able to be a part of this process, getting to see how many people are passionate about this work was just so exciting. So, for everyone who is still interested in this work, we have so much for you here to talk about. Let's talk a little bit about some of the highlights from these two sessions.
Yeah, so I think you can see on the slide with the museums highlighted here, just the difference in size and location of these museums. And I think that was a major highlight, bringing everyone together. It's a small cohort. So, our first convening was 6 museums. Our second was 5 museums and 5 people from each of those museums. So it is a real opportunity to connect not only with your individual museum, but then across museums and to develop, connections and relationships. And so we're hoping that because the convening is fairly small and they have these smaller cohorts, that people will continue these relationships organically so that if they have a question about a project or a program, they might feel really comfortable to reach out to somebody who attended the convening with them to ask those questions. Of course, we're here to connect people if needed, but I think some of those relationships were really sparked at the convening, and hopefully they'll continue. And then if you'll see on the next slide, we shared the different speakers who were included. So really a great group of speakers who contributed to our convenings. In the fall of 25, Arthur Cohen, Susan Magsamen, and artist Judith Schachter. And then just this past spring, Dr. Jeremy Nobel and Chris Doucette from the Foundation for Art and Healing, and Dr. Catherine Cotter at the University of Pennsylvania. So they provided presentations, hands-on workshops for our participants. And then what was also really special was that several museum partners contributed case studies on their art and wellness projects that they shared with the convening teams. So, and then this past spring convening, we were actually able to bring back 3 of the museums who attended our fall convening, and they were sharing about the different projects that they are starting in their community. So it was really amazing to have them back and to share that work.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Can you share examples of some of those innovative projects from the museums who attended the convenings and how they're integrating this into their work?
Yeah, I would love to. So on the next slide, you'll see an image of guests at the Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico participating in some of the wellness programming in their galleries. Really, what's great is that the convening is just the kickoff for developing and implementing these projects. So we're meeting together, we're sharing ideas, workshopping. Again, we're building in time for museums to work together to develop these projects. And then that's the kickoff. So over the next 2 years, they'll borrow an artwork grouping through the Art Bridges Partner Loan Network that will be on display at their museum for 2 years. They'll be integrating that artwork into their projects. They received $50,000 to design, implement, and then facilitate those wellness-focused projects in their communities. And then they're also going to be collecting data aligning with those 4 pillars that I mentioned previously and working with our research and evaluation team really come up with the best kind of measurement and scale for that. So the convening is really just the kickoff. We're continuing these connections and collaborations with the partner museums over the course of several years and providing that strategic support and thought partnership throughout the course of that time period. And so, yeah, so I can share a little bit about some of the projects that museums are doing. So the picture here of the Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico, I'll just touch on a couple of their projects. One that I think is really interesting is that they've developed a project and an ongoing series of programs specifically working with artists. And it's a wellness series that focuses on it's their 2.5 hour wellness workshops specifically designed for artists. So it includes guided meditation, engagement, and discussion with artwork, and then creative artwork sessions and share outs with holistic practitioners offering coping tools and skills for artists specifically across Puerto Rico. And then if we go on to the next slide, there's a few other images from some of our partner museums. So these are the 3 partner museums who returned for this past convening to share their case studies. So on the left, we have an image from El Paso Museum of Art, guests engaging with each other in artwork in the galleries. And El Paso is doing a number of really interesting programs, one of which is an art and wellness gallery guide that is going to encourage intentional looking, reflection, and meditation in the galleries. And that will be developed in collaboration with the museum staff, and then also a wellness intern that will be an art therapy graduate student who's going to work on the project. They'll print the guides, they'll have it on their website, so it will have pretty big impact and reach. They're also piloting a teen takeover event that's going to focus on mental health and social connection and really provide leadership skills and development for teens. In the middle, there's an image from Allentown Art Museum, and they are doing a number of really interesting projects as well. They are starting Community Arts Circle, which is on-site and off-site program with a number of their community partners. It includes both discussion and artwork and art making. And they are also developing an art and wellness fellowship, which will be a partnership with their local college art therapy program. And so those fellows are going to help to facilitate the programs. And then they're also developing a toolkit that will be able to be shared with their partners and then also more broadly on their website. So really kind of scaling the impact that is happening on site at the museum, even across the country. And then the image on the right is again from Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico, doing outdoor wellness programming. Along with the program for artists, they are also working on some programs for employees. So that was another big takeaway, I think, that I heard from a lot of the museums who attended the past convening, was just recognizing that they were needing wellness as well, employees at those museums. And a phrase that I think came up was, you can't pour from an empty cup. So really trying to fill the cup of employees to provide these wellness opportunities that then will have broader reach and impact as they're working with community members. And then just a couple others that we've heard from some of our museums. There's so many, but I know Baltimore Museum of Art is kind of working on a social prescription pilot program and working with a group of local experts and stakeholders to think through that. They're also thinking about sensory-friendly programming for community partners and the general public, along with a lot of other work in art and medicine. The Fry Art Museum is expanding their memory hub on their campus to develop Cultura y Cuidado, which is a bilingual program for individuals with Alzheimer's and dementia, and developing focus groups to really kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of frame what that program was going to look like, and to be really thinking in collaboration with community partners. And they're also expanding their art and medicine programs. And then North Carolina Museum of Art, who also attended our fall convening, they're working on mindful museum programs that are going to offer opportunities to process emotions, restore the nervous system. They're also working on a lot of family wellness programs that's going to support social and emotional well-being for families and caregivers across generations. So lots of these museums doing some real interesting work. And then we're excited to hear from the museums who just participated last spring. They will be finalizing their projects and programs and then sharing those with us soon and kicking those off. So really these programs are all either new or expanded efforts for the museum. This is an opportunity for them to pilot things that they'd like to see, that they'd like to do and try. And we're really excited to see where they go.
That's awesome. I really enjoy that this work is already getting started. You know, as soon as they left here, they were already so excited to get started on these programs and were able to come back and share just months later how this was already benefiting them in their organization as well as in their communities. I do want to jump in just for a second. I did have some people say that they weren't able to access some of the links that we have dropped. That is okay. We will be sending out the links in a subsequent email. So please know that all of these links that we will be sharing today will be available to you all. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about our newest convening opportunity. So, tell us about the upcoming Fall 2026 convening. Tell us what makes it unique compared to our past two iterations.
Yeah, so this convening is very exciting. It's more focused than the past. So the past two convenings we held were just kind of art and wellness more broadly. But this convening is more focused on museums and medical school partnerships and collaborations. So it's called Museums and Medical Education, a convening at the intersection of art and care. And there are two options to participate, and museums can indicate if they're available to participate in either one of those options or both of those options, November 4th through 5th, later this year, and then next year, April 28th and 29th. And so each of these sessions is going to bring together 5 museums and at least one representative from their medical school partner. So again, a cross-departmental team from those museums, at least one curator and one educator who are directly involved in the projects. But then a little unique this time is that we're asking the medical school partner to also send a representative so that they can work collaboratively on their projects during that free time. And really, we're thinking about just programs that can focus on either general medical student well-being or the core competencies that they will be focusing on throughout their training.
Let's see. Can you kind of walk us through the application process? What exactly are we looking for when a museum wants to apply for this opportunity? Is there any key criteria, timelines, or tips that they can really create a strong application for this opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. So, first and foremost, we want museums who are interested in developing these projects focused on art and wellness with their museum school partner. And we are requesting, or one of the criteria of the application is that the medical school needs to submit a letter of support. So, showing that they are supportive of this project and plan to participate throughout the 2 year period, 2 year plus period, right? Museums must borrow and display over a 2 year period their partner loan network artwork groupings. So those can be selected from our website, and we can walk through that process with folks as well. And then really they're engaging medical students at the intersection of art and wellness, exploring how art-related programming can support, again, that student well-being or learning outcomes core competencies. Um, so really, we're looking for applications and programs that are innovative, that are new. They can be new to the museum new to the museum medical school partnership or expansions on what they're doing. But we're really looking for something that is pretty innovative and hoping to see how the museums and the medical schools can really work together so that so that we can, see how these projects have longevity. And then the other thing that I think we're really looking at is we understand that the museums who participate, part of or who are selected, the convening part of the the amazing part of the convening is this professional development opportunity. So it's a chance to hear from speakers, it's a chance to meet with other museums and medical schools, a chance to meet with our bridges. And the ideas that they come up with from their initial application may change. They may grow, they may expand. But we're really hoping that within those applications, we still get a sense of goals of what like clear outcomes and goals that they're hoping to achieve. And then if they change throughout the course of the convening, that's okay. And we welcome that. But we really do want to get a sense of kind of what they're planning and how this will be feasible for them and their team.
Amanda, I see one of the big questions that we're having is, does it have to be a medical school? I've seen, working with therapy schools, working with nursing schools. Does it have to be a medical school?
We need at least one of the partnering organizations to be a medical school. And that also helps with this whole idea of data collection, right? So that we have some similar data that we're collecting across those partners. However, if a museum is working with a medical school and they want to expand to include residents or nursing students or physical therapy students or other healthcare professionals, that is okay, and we welcome that, and they can include that in their application. But we do need at least one of the partners to be a medical school and for medical students. And that is one of the requirements too in that letter of support. And I will say that we'll drop the link if it's not already dropped. The applications are open. The deadline to apply is June 10th, so a little less than 2 weeks. But once you go on our website, if you check out that link, there are two documents there that have a kind of informational sheet all about the convening and the selection criteria and what's necessary. And then there's another document that lists all the questions up front. So you can prepare those answers in advance and work with your teams to prepare those answers before you submit the application.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I do want to say, first, I want to say thank you all for really being engaged, not only with our conversation, but with each other in the chat. That's absolutely the type of community that we are really hoping to cultivate, where we're coming together, sharing our ideas, and really connecting with one another. Love to see that in the chat. Another thing that I want to say is, say you're sitting here and, you think, man, this would be a cool opportunity. We as as an organization, we really want to further our goals in our art and wellness programming, in our art and wellness engagement. But I don't think this specific opportunity is right for us. Maybe we don't have a med school nearby, or maybe we're not directly working with anyone that would benefit for this specific opportunity. But the cool thing about us here at Art Bridges is that we are always doing this work through our art sharing and our community engagement pillars. One thing that I see in the chat is our learning and engagement manager, Jasmine DeJacamy, has offered to speak with people about our learning and engagement projects. We also have our partnerships team, who is very, very excited to connect with anyone who wants to talk about art sharing and engagement within your organization. One of the cool things that I've gotten to be a part of with this whole art and wellness opportunity is that although we were only able to pick 11 partners for our past convenings, the other applicants were still able to come to us and say, hey, we still want to borrow these artworks. We still want to connect with Partner Loan Network or our curatorial team to borrow something so that we can work with the art sharing departments and work with the learning and engagement team to still bring those wellness engagements to your organization. So if this particular opportunity is not right for you all, we still want to have a conversation with you. All of our projects begin with just a simple conversation talking about what your needs are, what you hope to bring to your organization, what you hope to bring to your community. So please reach out to us through our Contact Us form that we'll put here, or you can reach out by email at info@artbridgesfoundation.org. I actually answer that email and I will get you connected with the right teams so that we can get these things started for you all. We want you all to feel empowered to do this work, to have the right tools, to have the right art, and to have the right support. So please reach out to us at any time. I do want to open up and give us a chance to maybe you have a question that you haven't gotten to ask. Please drop that right now. Now is the time for our open Q&A. We would like to chat with you all. So I'm going to give it a second. Please drop your questions in and we will make sure we get those answered. Let's see. So the deadline is a little too short right now. Is there another cycle planned?
Yeah, so we're definitely considering future art and wellness focus convenings. Most likely the applications would launch again. I think our applications launched in early May. So most likely early May of next year, if the deadline is a little too soon for you this time. It will most likely have a theme as well. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I'm seeing a lot of interesting ideas in the chat, so we can consider potentially some of these too. But then, like Marissa said, if you are doing art and wellness focused projects, then you can continue that work with financial support from Art Bridges through our learning and engagement team as well. You wouldn't necessarily get the professional development opportunity with the convening, but you would get the, any loans free of any costs, or traveling exhibition free of any costs associated with that, as well as potential funding for art and wellness projects through learning and engagement. So continue to connect with us if the deadline feels a little short for you this time.
Do they need to specify any particular works of art they would like to borrow in the application?
No, not necessarily in the application. And the partner loan network team might be getting on additional loans, over the course of the next year or so when we have the convening. So I think but rooting our work engagements in art obviously is really important. So rooting these projects in some type of artwork engagement and in the artwork is important, but it doesn't have to be specific examples in the application.
I do see you all's great suggestions. Like Amanda said, we will definitely be looking into these suggestions. And as we think about how we are expanding these art and wellness opportunities, you guys are making some really great points in the chat. Just an administrative question. Can you explain what the reporting requirements would be after the fact?
Sure. So there'll be an interim and a final report related to this project, related to the projects. And then the Partner Loan Network program also has a final report associated with the artwork itself. So there'll be kind of those two projects. And then it would also include working with our research and evaluation team on the data collection and evaluation tools that would be used.
Awesome. Let's see. Do you have any advice in encouraging buy-in from medical universities? It says we've not had success in partnering with the local medical schools.
Okay, that's a great question. So I think that, as data is collected, there's a lot of different resources. The National Organization for Arts and Health is a great resource that can provide some reports on how these projects and these programs can really benefit medical students, both their well-being, right? So that it's preventing burnout for them, but then also the core competencies and how this is going to affect their future engagement with patients. So I would check there for different resources and reports that you may share. I'm sure a lot of these folks in the chat too have pretty successful programs, and they might be able to connect with you on some of those reports. And then we're also hoping, through the data collection and through this project, that we can collect a lot of really good information that we'll be able to share. I didn't mention previously, but our research and evaluation team is amazing. And so those 197 applications that we received for the first convening, they put together a white paper that really outlines the different art and wellness types of projects and programs that are happening at museums across the country and really connecting them within those four pillars of well-being. So that is another amazing resource that's also available on our website, might be linked here as well in the chat for you to review. And there are a number of museums and who we partner with already who are doing lots of really amazing work with medical schools and may have some information and data to share with you.
Are we pulling together some of those case studies for people to be able to see?
As far as the presentations that were shared
Hmm.
at the convening, we do not have those videoed, but we can talk with those museums and, if they're interested in sharing those presentations more broadly, we can maybe somehow link them to this webinar or share them in a different way on our website. But yeah, I think that white paper also kind of shows the breadth of work that's being done too. But yeah, maybe that's a future webinar, right? We bring on the museums who are doing this amazing work and they can present on some of the projects that they've been doing in their communities.
Yeah. We do indeed work with university museums. In fact, we think this would be a great opportunity for the museum gallery and the medical school at the same school to connect. That would be so cool if we saw some of that.
Yes, please apply.
Let's see. It says, are there any board training opportunities? I'm assuming you mean the board of the organization. And to that, I would say maybe invite them to be a part of the cohort. If you are selected, it would be great to share a lot of this information, a lot of the data you see in the white papers and the toolkits, things like that to share with boards. We don't have anything particular outside of those documents, but we really think this is very, very important information to share with boards to really be able to move this type of work, these type of engagements forward.
Yeah.
Um, we don't have any out of the country institutions that we support because we are an American art museum organization. We work with museums and organizations within the continental US as well as in Puerto Rico. So we do focus on American art museums here. Let's see. Um, It says, will there be any learning offerings in the future, like week-long intensives or collaborative training? It says we're in an academic gallery working with our medical school. So essentially just asking, is there any further trainings or opportunities for this work?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's not something that we've thought of aside from the convening opportunity, but potentially in the future there may be opportunities for, yeah, more intensive trainings.
Um, I think this is a good question. It says their institution has graduate medical education, so like residency and fellowship. Would that be eligible?
So residents can be included in that expanded network, but really a medical school
The school
program too.
itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. Um, oh, I think this is a good question. They would like to know whether the artworks borrowed from Art Bridges could be displayed at the hospital partner.
It would depend on the requirements of the lending organization, I would think, because it does go through our partner loan network
Mhm.
program. And so these are artworks that are on loan from other museums, and it goes through a, similar kind of loan criteria that other loans might go through. So it would depend on um, the conditions of those spaces and the requirements of the lender. That's something that potentially could be explored, but I think the plan is to have the artwork displayed at the actual museum unless that um, medical school or hospital or whatever had some kind of gallery setting that, could display the artwork.
Oh, this is a great question. And oh, Josie, thank you for answering. Yes. So, because each of our partners' work is different within this space and everyone's doing their projects in their own way, our research and evaluation team works specifically with each team to help you develop how you're going to evaluate and collect your data throughout your project to be able to make the best report and be able to show off the ways that you were able to show your impact in your community and within your organization. So while we don't really have a specific way for you to do it, it's all case by case, and it's going to be very specific and particular to your organization and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, and that toolkit kind of outlines different validated surveys, but also, recognizes that there may be different needs for everyone. So we're not prescriptive at Art Bridges in the way that we, try to put everything in a specific box, and we really work with you as thought partners to think through your ideas.
Oh, yes, we did have a great question about, why it's just museums and not, directly to the community or to the organizations. We here at Art Bridges, we work directly with American art museums to be able to connect with their community. And we're able to do this in so many different ways. Our learning and engagement team works really hard when these artworks are placed within the museums to help that museum team directly connect to their community. So that could be through reproductions of the works going straight into the community, working with those programs. That could be finding opportunities to bring communities in, bring school groups and senior groups youth groups throughout the community directly into the museum, giving them that opportunity and that direct connection to the artworks through the museum. That's why we do what we do, and that's how we work here at Art Bridges. Thank you for that question. That was a great question. Let's see. We have time for a few more. Let's see. Yes, Carolyn, the final report would include how that funding would be used, correct?
So many great questions, y'all.
Yes, we have a lot of great questions. I love this. Kelly asked that we did mention about the opportunities for specific wellness projects. Again, here at Art Bridges, we work directly through art sharing. And so, how we do that through our own collection. We have traveling exhibitions. We have a partner loan network where we have works directly from other art museums and organizations. Um, and so we're able to place those works within the museums, and then we're able to work with our learning and engagement team to directly work with the museum to engage the works with the communities. So I would say if you have something that you're already working on, wellness things that you're already working on with your museum, I would say please use that contact us form, use the info at artbridgesfoundation.org email and reach out to us about what you're working on, and we'll see how we can get you connected to that art sharing piece and see if we can get that started. Let's see. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let's see. Okay, we talked about that. We do hope to have further opportunities to be able to work with artists and communities directly. We don't know what those are yet, but I definitely appreciate you all's suggestions that we will be collecting because you do have some great suggestions here. Let's
Yeah, and
see.
I will say that the strongest programs that I've been a part of as a museum educator and that I've seen are always about co-development, co-design with community partners. So so really working with those community partners to develop the project and understanding their expertise and involving them in those projects is huge and can really develop these really, beautiful programs. So as Marissa said, we support museums and more specifically art museums, and then we support the museums in developing those projects with their community partners and having those and building those relationships with them.
I think this is a great question from Kate talking about sustainability of projects. And we do have that question quite a bit. Being able to sustain these projects even past the 2 years or past the loan process. Um, Amanda, and you can add on. One thing I will say is that we would love to continue these conversations with you as you come to the end of your projects about how we can continue to work with you, whether that be through the next art sharing loan into your next learning and engagement project, different things like that. But is there a way that you hope to continue the work past the convening project?
Well, I think what's really great about the convening project is that it can be a pilot program. So the funds can be used to develop this new idea, this new concept, this pilot program project, and then hopefully data, we're supporting the collection of the data too. So you can show the impact of that project and then leverage that for additional funding. So whether that's through our bridges or from another funder, that you'll have this report, this information that you might be able to share and just show the impact of this programming within your community.
Thank you so much, Amanda. This has been so exciting and energizing and really helpful as we're thinking about moving our art and wellness initiatives forward, as well as helping our museums do the same. So I will say thank you for sharing about the art and wellness convenings, highlighting the innovative ways to advance art and wellness in our museums. And I want to thank you all for joining, and not only just for joining, but for being engaged, asking questions, helping each other in the chat. It's exactly what we love to see. We really hope that this session has inspired fresh ideas about how you can leverage ArtBridge's support for your museum and for your community. Keep an eye out for our follow-up email for this. We will absolutely be sharing all of these links. You can reach out to us for any of these questions. If we maybe you held your question in, maybe in all of these chats, maybe I just didn't see it. Please do not hesitate to reach out to that email. We would love to get your questions answered, but be looking for that follow up and for your chance to learn more about our additional art and wellness initiatives, and as well as to provide feedback on future webinar topics. So thank you again for attending, and we hope to see you guys next time. Talk soon.